From a stern that had to be structurally reinvented to make the view possible, to a locked door that was engineered into the hull before the first weld. These are 5 facts about MSC World America that will surprise you. From above, MSC World America has an unmistakable silhouette. At the back of the ship, the stern, the superstructure does not end in a flat wall. It splits into 2 towers that flare outward on either side, leaving an open gap between them. From directly above, it looks like the letter Y. Most people assume it is a design choice, something to make the ship look distinctive. It is not. Here is the problem it solves. MSC World America is 22 decks tall and nearly 1,100 feet long. On a ship this size, most passengers have almost no connection to the actual ocean. Cabins in the interior face corridors. Public spaces look at other parts of the ship. The stern of a conventional cruise ship is just a wall, the closed end of a steel rectangle. The Y shape removes that wall entirely. The 2 flanking towers are lined with cabins whose balconies face directly aft, looking out over the ship's wake toward open water. Between the towers, at the base of the Y, is the World Promenade, an open-air deck exposed to the sea on 3 sides, with LED light installations running its full length each evening. The gap is not empty space nobody needed, it is the view. The entire architecture is organised around the absence of a wall, but removing that wall creates a structural problem. The conventional stern wall was carrying load, the weight and forces from everything above it transferred down into the hull. Without it, the 2 flanking towers now carry that load independently, connected by deck spans that bridge the void between them. MSC and the Chantier de l'Atlantique shipyard in France spent years working through those structural calculations. The ship looks open and effortless because a significant amount of hidden engineering makes it possible to be. And the structural complexity does not stop at the towers. The World Promenade deck, the open-air platform at the base of the Y, spans the full width of the gap between the 2 structures. It has to carry passenger loads, weather loads and dynamic forces from the ship's motion, while being exposed to the sea on 3 sides. Every beam, every connection point in that span was individually calculated for a loading scenario that does not exist on any conventional ship. The view looks free. The engineering behind it was anything but. MSC World America runs on LNG, liquefied natural gas, stored at -260 degrees Fahrenheit in cryogenic tanks built into the lower hull. For a ship operating year-round out of Port Miami, a harbour that sits inside one of the most densely populated cities in the United States, that matters more than the headline numbers suggest. The emissions from a large ship at dock affect the air quality of the neighbourhoods directly around the port. LNG cuts sulfur oxide emissions by close to 100% compared to conventional marine fuel. Nitrogen oxide drops by 85%, but LNG creates an infrastructure problem that diesel never had. You cannot refuel an LNG ship from a conventional bunker truck. The fuel must be transferred at cryogenic temperatures through specialised equipment at a dedicated terminal, equipment that most cruise ports do not have. When MSC committed to LNG for World America, Port Miami did not have that terminal, so Port Miami built one, specifically to support this ship's operations. MSC designed a vessel around a fuel supply chain that was still under construction when the steel was being cut. The 5 Wärtsilä dual fuel engines on board can switch to conventional marine diesel if LNG is not available. That is built-in redundancy. But the plan was always LNG. The diesel option is the insurance, not the intention. Here's a fact about MSC World America that most passengers never think about. A cruise ship earns money in 2 ways: ticket sales and what passengers spend on board. The challenge for a mass market line like MSC, filling 6,000 berths, is that a full ship tends to suppress per passenger spending. When a ship feels crowded, it feels less premium. Premium-minded passengers go elsewhere. MSC's solution was to stop choosing between volume and margin and run both strategies simultaneously in the same hull. The outer ship is priced for volume, fill it, maximise occupancy, generate revenue at scale. The inner ship is priced for margin, with suites that cost roughly double the equivalent standard cabin, and guests who spend significantly more on board because the environment signals and rewards that spending. Same engines, same liquefied natural gas fuel, same destination. Two completely different businesses never interacting. That separation is not a courtesy. It is a product integrity mechanism. A premium guest who accidentally wanders through a packed pool deck has a fundamentally different experience than one who never leaves the private section. The locked door between the two worlds is not decoration, it is the product. Behind that locked door at the forward section of MSC World America is the MSC Yacht Club, its own restaurant, its own pool deck, its own lounge, its own private elevators that bypass every other part of the ship entirely, butler service around the clock, suites up to 1,100 square feet. Guests can spend an entire 7-night cruise without once entering the section where 6,000 other passengers are having their holiday. What makes this architecturally remarkable is that it cannot be added afterward. The private elevator shafts have to run through the full structural height of the vessel. They have to be in the blueprint before the first weld is made. The restricted access deck layouts are integrated into the hull framing at the design stage. The structural supports for the yacht club's pool deck are part of the ship's skeleton. The locked door was drawn into the plans before the steel was ordered. MSC has offered the yacht club on ships for over a decade. On World America, it reaches its most deliberate form, a vertical block of private space built into the bow of the ship from the keel up, with panoramic forward views that the other 6,000 passengers never access. The ship was built around that block the way a frame is built around a picture. The outer ship, the one with 6,000 passengers, has 20 pools, bumper cars, the Venom drop, and the cliffhanger. The cliffhanger is a swing ride mounted at the top of the ship that extends passengers out over the edge of the hull, 165 feet above the water. It swings them back and forth until the ocean fills their entire field of vision. At that exact moment, on the other side of the locked door, a butler is delivering afternoon tea in a 1,100 square foot suite. Same hull, same Y-shaped stern, same liquefied natural gas fuel running through cryogenic tanks in the keel. That contrast is the point, and it works only because neither experience intrudes on the other. The cliffhanger riders never walk through the yacht club. The yacht club guests never hear the cliffhanger. The locked door is the engineering that makes both products feel like what they're supposed to be. MSC Cruises is the only major cruise line that is not publicly traded. It is owned by the Aponte family, a shipping dynasty that started in cargo and answers to no shareholders. That ownership structure is part of why a design this unusual got built. No quarterly earnings call had to justify two completely separate products sharing a hull. The family decided it was the right ship. They built it. And it turns out the most profitable vessel is one that can genuinely be different things to genuinely different people at the same time, in the same steel, sailing to the same destination. One locked door, two completely different ships. That's the whole design.